they should not be scared that the technology will make our jobs less necessary, but the reverse, that will be assisted by technology that will make our jobs better. So we will be capable to provide with a more reliable diagnostics, management and handling of animals, thanks to a better control of animals.
Welcome to the Swine Canada podcast show, brought to you by Wisenetics. We are dedicated to bringing you the latest insights and discussions in the Canadian pork industry. So I'm Miranda Smith, and I'll be the host for today's episode. And today's guest is Dr. Pol Llonch, who is a senior researcher at the Autonomous University of Barcelona in Spain. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm very glad I can be here.
Excellent. Yeah, so we're going to be talking today about the use of behavior data from pigs to assess welfare and performance. But before we do that, can you first give us a short introduction to your background and your current role?
Sure. Well, I'm a vet by training, so I studied veterinary science that looks decades or ages ago. But soon after that, I became enthusiastic on the study of animal behavior and animal welfare. So I started my career as a researcher in several institutions to investigate mostly animal welfare in pigs. So I started my journey into research, first studying animal behavior, animal welfare during slaughter in pigs. So that was my subject of the PhD. But after that, I turned on other issues such as welfare at farm, including other farm animal species. So I've been working in the UK in a couple of institutions, and then I went back to Autonomous University of Barcelona in 2015 to conduct research mostly in pigs. I have to say that my region, where I live, Catalonia, is one of the most busiest regions in Europe on pig production. So in certain areas, you are literally surrounded by pigs. So I think I'm in a good place to study pig behavior and welfare.
Definitely. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the recent research that you've been working on?
Yes. Well, I started studying pig behavior as a tool to understand their welfare. So one of the first things we do when trying to understand animals' needs is to assess their behavior. So in other words, asking pigs to tell us what are their preferences. And we can do this in feeding behavior, in resting behavior, social behavior, etc. So the link between the study of animal behavior and welfare is very strong. So I started studying animal behavior to, again, better understand the welfare aspects. And then at some point, I realized that there is a limitation on the study of animal behavior, because you may acknowledge that to make a full assessment of any animal behavior, you have to stand by and actually watch the animal performing any specific behavior. You need some continuous assessment, then to implement an ethogram, spotting specific behaviors, and that takes quite an amount of time and also resources. So that was this limitation was what turned me into the business of PLF, precision livestock farming, because we realized that the use of sensors can be very effective on telling all these behaviors in a continuous manner, so 24/7, no holidays, and in an objective manner as well, which is something that as researchers we are always interested to avoid subjectivity, for instance, when doing animal observations. So my interest on animal sensors has been from the perspective of a need in research to have a more objective and continuous observations of animals.
And what kind of sensors are we talking about here?
Well, the field of sensor technology in animal farming is evolving quite rapidly. It initially started with accelerometers. So basically, these are very small chips that can be either in ear tags, collars, maybe not in the case of pigs, but other species such as cows, or in pedometers. It works like our smartphone, so assessing the movements associated to the specific movement of the animal, and then after some training of the sensor, it can distinguish with a specific movement. So this movement can be associated to an animal resting or an animal feeding, etc. However, accelerometers, they can tell us a lot about individual animals. In other sectors or in other animal production systems, such as pigs or poultry, where the group of animals is what brings more interest, then other types of technologies have erupted, such as computer vision. And nowadays, this is one of the most effective technologies that can be used to track animal behavior, and from there, like to extract any information or data that we need. So, in brief, I would say that at the moment, computer vision technologies are quite well developed, but still other technologies that completely different are also being developed. I'm going to give some examples. This is, for instance, bioacoustics, which is the assessment of any sounds emitted by pigs, scales that can weigh the body weight of the animal, but also the feed that is being taken or eating, and along, etc. So this is just the beginning of a rapidly developing field.
And are you part of all of these different developments? Like, are you using all of them in your research?
Well, yes. We tend to use different technologies and take advantage of the power of integration. So in many cases, is not a sensor per se giving many information. But if you integrate information from, say, behavior assessed using computer vision, the vocalizations recorded with a microphone, and the temperature, the body temperature assessed using infrared thermography, combining all these different outputs is really powerful. So can give lots of information and a much higher degree of detail, sensitivity, and specificity compared to one single technology.
That makes a lot of sense. So with all the new technologies, I think like there's probably a pretty high price tag on that. Is that like, so would that be currently feasible on commercial farms to be used, or is this still more in the research stage?
Well, you're pointing out here an important aspect, which is the whether they are applicable in commercial settings. I think more and more these technologies can be applicable in commercial settings, even considering the price. At the moment, I have to say that, at least in Europe, sensor technologies are not spread enough that makes their price affordable for any commercial unit. But we expect that if the use is being more common, more widely spread, then this would decrease the cost of these technologies and make them more affordable. At the moment, though, I would say that these technologies are focused for either research or academia, or some production systems or producers, companies that want to have some farms like highly controlled or yeah, so under control. So they use these sensors in some specific farms, but not escalated in a mass of different farms.
I'm just wondering, like, what are some of the things that you've seen, like, using these different technologies on the welfare? Because, like, for example, like, I know that, like, we always focused on, avoiding negative behaviors, but I think nowadays there's a lot more looking at actually positive behavior. So can you pick up both with these systems?
Absolutely. Well, and this is one of the benefits of using sensor technologies, that you can identify events where the welfare of animals can be compromised. For instance, health insults, outbreaks of diarrhea or respiratory diseases, but also situations in where the animal is supposed to have in a positive mood. So increasing the welfare of animals. And let me give you a couple of examples. A sensor that I personally know by using it from previous research is a microphone that is installed in the pig barn and is capable to record the sound and focused on the coughing of pigs in a specific unit. So based on the level of coughing, so the frequency of coughing through the group, it can tell you the risk, the level of risk of experiencing any respiratory outbreak. And I can tell you that it works. Actually, an anecdote that we faced in some trials that we conduct in experimental settings. We went into experimental pig farm. That was a very good farmer, I have to say. And we went there to test this unit, this microphone assessing the coughing. And we asked the farmer whether we could install that for 1 year in his farm and then be recording. And then the farmer looked at us like, okay, you can install, but I'm not going to trust this much, because he already thought that he was a good farmer, taking good care of all his animals. Okay, so we did the trial for 1 year. We followed all the different batches of animals. And when we finished our research, we went into the farm asking the farmer to remove the installation of that sensor. And then the farmer said, wait, maybe I will keep it, because I realized that there were events of coughing that I was not even at the farm for obvious reasons. He was sleeping, he was doing whatever. So you cannot be 24/7 in the farm, but the microphone does. And so he realized how powerful can be to use a sensor that it is capable to monitor, in that case, the respiratory health in the pig barn. So that is just an example of the negative consequences that a sensor can assess. But as I was saying, there are many other situations that we know improve the welfare by increasing the positive side. So any situation that is or provides some degree of pleasure to animals. And a good example of this is play behavior. We know that if we facilitate play behavior in piglets, but also in adult animals, these have a direct link to the general welfare and also into their health and overall productivity. So if we are capable to assess whether play behavior is increased, is actually happening in our farm. The monitoring of it will help us to implement strategies to either improve it or keep it as it is, whatever.
That's very interesting. And so, can you tell us about some of the other things that you're working on at the moment with these techniques?
Sure. Other stuff we're working related still with sensors, but they are applied into the slaughterhouse. There is an ongoing project at the moment called AWISH. This is an EU-funded project. This AWISH is the acronym of Animal Welfare Indicators at the Slaughterhouse. And as the name is telling, our aim is to develop sensors that can automatically assess welfare problems, but at the slaughterhouse. And this is for one obvious reason, which is that the slaughterhouse is the place where all animals from many different places are gathered. So if we're able to assess the welfare in the slaughterhouse, it will give us the chance to assess a great number of farms. And then also because animal welfare is especially critical at the moment of a slaughter. So we have to take special care in that situation. The ideal would be to be continuously monitoring these aspects. And just to give you some examples about technologies that we are developing there, one is a computer vision sensor that is assessing the tail length and also the lesions of the tail. In that way, we can know how many animals have come into the slaughterhouse with a potential tail biting event previous, so when they were at the farm. It can provide us with information on the retrospective manner. So we assess now what happened at the farm days, weeks, or even months ago. And then in other examples of sensors are able to provide us with the information on what's happening at the moment. One of the most critical aspects of animal welfare is whether the stunning was effective or not. So we are developing a sensor, again using computer vision, that is capable to, based on the movements of the carcass, the corneal reflex of the animals, etc., assess whether all animals, all pigs, have been properly stunned, and therefore we have to adopt any corrective measures to improve the stunning of the. So these are just examples of some research we are conducting at the moment in commercial slaughterhouses.
That'll be very useful. We also, I don't know if you're aware that we have a similar system for tracking lesions on the body on carcasses in Canada.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can look it up. It's Yolande Sadden's research. Mm-hmm. So she's been doing that for the past 4 or 5 years, and yeah, it's working quite well.
Okay.
So it's interesting to see how people from different parts of the world are kind of looking at the same thing, because that's clearly where we're going, right?
Yeah. It's really interesting. Yeah, I would like to know more. So I will dig into internet and see whether I can find something about that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then is there anything else that you would like to talk about today?
Well, I think just to give some positive thoughts on the use of technology and how can they help and improve our work or the work of farmers, veterinarians in their daily practice, and that they should not be scared that the technology will make our jobs less necessary, but the reverse, that will be assisted by technology that will make our jobs better. So we will be capable to provide with a more reliable diagnostics, management and handling of animals, thanks to a better control of animals.
Now, do you see this being used in animal welfare audits at some point?
Well, it can be. Actually, there's been some research. Now, at the moment, is only desk research on investigating the possibility of using these technologies for auditing, for certification, etc. At the moment, I'm not aware, as far as I know, of any certification scheme, audit for regulatory purposes that are using technologies, but these may come. The example I was giving early on technology assessing welfare at the slaughterhouses could be something easily implemented, for instance, on certification schemes. So I think we can expect something in the coming years.
Okay, that's something to look forward to then.
It's time for our famous three.
Feed formulation software is stuck in the past. Most tools haven't evolved beyond basic least cost optimization. A Diet Forge changes that. It's an AI-powered platform with nonlinear ingredient modeling for enzymes and additives, cost per gain and maximum profit optimization, and real-time collaboration like Google Docs for nutrition. Every recommendation is grounded in world-class research, built for modern nutritionists who need more than legacy desktop software can deliver. Work seamlessly with your team and optimize the way modern operations demand. Try dietforge.ai free today. Feed formulation, finally modernized.
Okay, well, so then we'll get to the last three questions that I always ask to our guests. So the first one is, what is your favorite swine-related book or resource?
In terms of book, I can mention there is a book not specific on pigs, but and a book of mostly for academics. But it helps on understanding or the methodology to assess animal behavior. And this is, the title is Measuring Animal Behavior. It's as simple as that. And helps on doing an objective and scientifically validated way to assess animal behavior. But then when I want to know a bit more about what's going on the field, in the real world, in pig production, I tend to consult some websites. And for instance, one is very popular here in Spain is the 333 website. So that one I tend to consult from time to time.
Yeah, I'm definitely aware of that one. It's a good website. And then, so what is your favorite book or resource outside of agriculture?
I'm quite interested now on following social media, especially LinkedIn, and it's one of the sources where I take the most of the news and really the novelties in terms of not only research but business, etc.
Okay, perfect. And then the last question: in your opinion, what sets successful swine professionals apart from those that are not?
I think to keep the mind open. I think this is, for me, what I've experienced when working with farmers. One of the aspects that you realize that you're talking to a good farmer is when you're in front of one of these persons that is prone to learn, to know more, to discuss, and eventually to change things if they realize that things can be done better. So keeping the mind open to changes, I think, is the most effective or the most important aspect of any professional.
Okay, perfect. Well, so thank you so much for joining me on the Swine in Canada podcast show today.
No, thank you very much for the invitation, and I hope we can still keep in touch in any other event and cast show.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so thanks everyone for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review because your feedback is invaluable to us. So this is Miranda Smith from the Swine Canada podcast show signing off. Until next time.